Welcome back to Kindness Stories, the place where ordinary moments become extraordinary through the courage, kindness, and strength of everyday people like you and me. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss an inspiring story that might just brighten your day and restore your faith in the goodness of people. Now, get comfortable, because today's story is a wild ride about standing up for yourself when no one else will, and how a girl who was once the target of cruel bullying taught her entire school a lesson they would never forget. Our story begins in a small town where high school hallways can feel like a battlefield. There are cliques, rumors, whispered insults, and sometimes the cruelty of teenagers knows no limits. But in the middle of all that chaos, there was Emma. Emma was a sophomore, 16 years old. With a shy smile and big dreams of becoming an artist one day, she loved to draw, often scribbling designs on the corners of her notebooks. She was one of those people who preferred to fade into the background, not because she was afraid, but because she was happy in her own world. Unfortunately, high school doesn't always let quiet people stay invisible. There was a group of boys who made it their mission to pick on the quieter kids, especially the girls they thought wouldn't fight back, and of all the people they could pick on, they chose Emma. Why? Maybe because she was easy to spot, always sitting by herself at lunch, sketching flowers, or doodling superheroes. Maybe they thought she was weak. They were wrong. One of these boys, Jason, was the ringleader. He had a swagger about him, a cruel glint in his eye, and a laugh that always sounded like it was at someone else's expense. He liked to show off in front of his buddies. For weeks, Jason and his friends would make snide comments when Emma walked by. They'd pretend to trip her in the hallway, knock her books out of her hands, or whisper insults that made her ears burn. Emma did her best to ignore them, her sketchbook her sanctuary. She would take deep breaths, count to 10, and remind herself that high school wouldn't last forever. But one Friday, something snapped. It was supposed to be an ordinary lunch period. Emma was sitting at her usual spot near the back of the cafeteria, a tray with half-eaten pizza and an apple beside her as she focused on her sketchbook. She was working on a new design, a girl in a suit of armor, standing on top of a mountain, sword raised to the sky. Maybe that drawing was a part of her that wanted to be brave, to stand tall no matter what. Jason and his gang spotted her. They whispered to each other, snickering. Emma felt her stomach twist. She kept her eyes down, hoping they'd leave her alone. But they didn't. They sauntered over, pretending to be friendly. Jason leaned on the table, knocking over her apple, and with a mocking grin said, "Hey Emma, what are you drawing today? Let me see." Emma instinctively pulled her sketchbook closer, her knuckles wide around the edges of the paper. "Please, Jason, just leave me alone." Jason's grin widened. "Oh, come on, we're just having fun, right guys?" His friends laughed. Then, in an instant, everything changed. Jason reached out and grabbed the sketchbook from her hands, flipping through the pages while making loud, cruel comments about her art. The other boys joined in, pointing at the drawings and laughing. Emma's face burned red, her heart pounding. She tried to grab her sketchbook back, but Jason held it high over his head, mocking her. And then, in a moment that would scar her forever, Jason did something that crossed every line. He pulled at her shirt collar, exposing her undershirt to the whole cafeteria. The room went silent for a heartbeat that exploded in laughter. Someone even pulled out their phone to record. For a second, Emma froze. She could feel the heat of embarrassment crawling up her neck, the sting of tears welling in her eyes. She heard the laughter, the mocking, the whispers, but deep down, something else stirred. It was that armored girl she had been drawing, the warrior, the fighter. Emma's eyes focused on Jason's smug face, and in that moment, something inside her snapped. Without thinking, without hesitating, Emma stood up so quickly that her chair clattered to the ground. Jason, still smirking, didn't see it coming. She grabbed him by the collar, using all the strength she had, and before anyone could stop her, she lifted him onto the cafeteria table. There was a gasp from the crowd as Emma, quiet little Emma, body slammed Jason right onto the table, sending trays of food flying everywhere. The entire room erupted in chaos. Jason's friends backed away, shocked and pale-faced. For a second, no one moved. Then Emma spoke, her voice clear and trembling with anger, but stronger than it had ever been. "If you ever touch me again, or Make fun of anyone else. I will not stay quiet. Do you hear me? The silence that followed was deafening. Jason, lying stunned among scattered pizza and spilled milk, could only nod. His arrogant, shattered word of what happened spread through the school like wildfire. By the end of the day, everyone knew what Emma had done. Some teachers tried to scold her for using violence, but more students came to her defense, saying she had every right to stand up for herself. The principal called her parents, but even they, while concerned, told Emma they were proud that she didn't let herself be humiliated without a fight. What Jason and his gang didn't expect was what came next. The video of the cafeteria incident went viral within the school and beyond. Comments poured in, praising Emma for her courage. Many students, some of whom had been targets themselves, came up to her in the days that followed, thanking her for standing up not just for herself, but for them too. Emma, who once sat alone at lunch, found herself surrounded by new friends who admired her strength. But this story isn't just about one moment of explosive courage. It's about what happened afterward. Emma didn't want to be known only for body slamming a bully. She wanted to change the culture that made it so easy for people like Jason to thrive. With her newfound confidence, she started a support group at school called The Armor Within. Inspired by the drawing she'd been working on that day, the group met every week in the art room. It became a safe space where students could share their experiences with bullying, help each other find their voices, and brainstorm ways to make their school kinder. Emma also took her art to the next level. She turned her drawings into posters with positive messages about self-respect and courage, hanging them in the hallways. What started as a single act of self-defense became the beginning of a movement that changed her entire school. Of course, not everyone was thrilled. Some parents complained that Emma was promoting violence, but most saw the bigger picture. The real violence had been the bullying that went unchecked for so long. Emma's story forced the school administration to take a hard look at how they handled harassment and bullying. They revised their policies, created an anonymous reporting system, and held workshops about respect and empathy. One day, months later, Jason approached Emma in the hallway. She felt her muscles tense, her heartbeat quicken, but he didn't come to mock her. Instead, he looked at the floor, his voice low and unsure. Emma, I'm sorry, I didn't get it before. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted to say I was wrong. Emma studied his face. Maybe he was sincere, maybe not, but she knew that forgiveness was a gift you gave yourself as much as others. She simply nodded and said, "Thank you for saying that." Then she walked away, her head high. Emma didn't let that moment define her. She knew she wasn't a hero because she fought back physically. She was a hero because she turned her pain into power. She didn't just stand up for herself, she inspired others to do the same. In the years that followed, Emma graduated, went on to art school, and eventually became a graphic novelist. Her first published comic, you guessed it, it was about a shy girl with an armored spirit who fought back against the monsters in her world and showed others they could fight too. And as for her old high school, it changed too. The Armor Within grew stronger, welcoming new students every year. Kindness, respect, and courage became the new normal. The echoes of laughter that once tore people down were replaced with words that lifted them up. Emma's story reminds us that sometimes kindness isn't just about turning the other cheek. Sometimes it's about knowing when to stand your ground, when to say enough is enough, and when to show the world that your strength comes from within. It's about having the courage to be your own hero when no one else will. So, the next time someone tries to make you feel small, remember, Emma, remember the girl who turned her embarrassment into empowerment, who body slammed her bully and rose from that moment stronger than ever. And remember that you, too, have an armored warrior inside you, ready to protect your light when the world tries to dim it. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you were inspired by Emma's bravery, let us know in the comments below. Have you ever had to stand up to a bully? How did you find your courage? Your stories matter, and by sharing them, you might just inspire